Hello everyone, and now I personally love first-person shooters. They're actually my favorite genre of video games, and if you have been subscribed to this channel, you would know my love for Call of Duty, which is my second favorite franchise ever after Dark Souls. Hell, I have an entire playlist on this channel of videos about Call of Duty because how much I love this franchise. Call of Duty was a franchise that introduced me to first-person shooters and military shooters in general, and out of all the FPS games out there, military shooters are my personal favorite. Now, I personally have a huge respect and support for the US military. I have had a grandfather who was a colonel in the US Army, and I currently have an older brother in the US Army Reserve. So I really do support all the men and women who sacrifice everything and put their life on the line for this country. While I don't agree with everything the government or even the military does, I still support and love the military a lot. Like, for example, the entire war in the Middle East, I'm honestly not a huge fan of. And I think we should have ended those wars and left a lot earlier and a lot faster than we did. And when we did leave, we basically just surrendered and just ran away. But that is not the topic for today's video. Today, I will be talking about, in my opinion, the best Battlefield game, and that game being Battlefield 3. I honestly really love this game, and I do think the gameplay is a lot of fun. The story is great, the characters are pretty good, and the levels are all pretty fun. Now, I will say right now for this entire video, I will only be talking about the single player campaign because it's been 11 years since this game came out, and I am playing this game on the Xbox One due to backwards compatibility, and I doubt the multiplayer servers are still active and working. Now, first off, I want to say that this game still looks good even after all these years, and even the characters' faces still look good and have aged well. Battlefield 3 uses the Frostbite 2 engine, and it still holds up in my opinion. Every location in this game looks great, whether it be Iraq, or you have some missions set in Paris, and it all looks great. You even have a mission where you have to fly a plane, and it looks so good. I know I'm repeating myself, but this game still holds up, and the setting in this game is so great, with the game mostly setting place in Iraq, and you have to fight through not only the Iraqi desert, but also through city streets, and Paris, and the last mission you are even in New York City, and every location looks great. Even, this game came out in 2011, and this game still holds up. It still looks so great. Now, one thing I love about first-person shooters are the guns themselves, and this game is no different. The guns are all really fun to use, and I personally love all the weapons in this game. Whether using assault rifles, shotgun, pistols, or sniper rifles, and more, are so much fun to use. They also just sound extremely good and sound like real guns as well. Now, the gameplay isn't too different from Call of Duty. It's just like a normal military shooter, but there are some things I do want to point out and talk about. First is the controls, which overall are pretty good, but they are a little weird. What I mean by this is, for example, in order to crouch, you either have to click in the right stick or hit the right bumper, or the left bumper rather than hitting the B button, which for me is always the crouch button in FPS games. Also, there's a lot of quick time events in this game, which isn't bad in my opinion. Quick time events, they aren't always bad, and it very much depends on the animation that happens after you hit the button, but I feel like this game uses them way too much, and so many times they are just so underwhelming. There were also a few moments where the game glitched out on me, like once all my allies went through a door, but it wasn't open, so I was stuck until one of them teleported back and kicked open the door for me. And another moment where Al Bashir's head just straight up disappeared when I shined a light onto him. Now, I know it seems like I'm just talking negative about the game, but these were just a few issues I had in the game. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this game. Honestly, I would even say that Battlefield 3 is the most immersive military shooter ever, and has a huge Call of Duty fan. That is a huge compliment. Now, something I personally like doing is immersing myself in these games as if I'm actually there with the characters. So I would move when my allies moved. I would stay close to them, but not too close. I would watch their backs when they move like a real soldier would. This game also has a very cool addition with breakable cover. Whatever cover you are in front of, right? Whatever cover you're behind, it can be destroyed by them shooting at you, which I both like and dislike because it feels more realistic, but this also caused me to be killed a few times, so I'm very in between about this. I also like that in this game you actually have a body for your character, which a lot of games do not have. Call of Duty, for example, the most you see of your character a lot of times is just their arms that are holding the gun, while in Battlefield 3, you even see your legs while you go prone, and you can see your other hand and arm while you're crawling rather than just a gun. Also, side note, this game is so much better with headphones on. It really helps immerse you into the game, but this doesn't just go for this game, but really every game in my opinion, but especially military shooters like Call of Duty, Halo, and Battlefield. There's also a mission in this game where you have to have a dogfight in a jet. However, this mission is honestly pretty boring because you basically don't do anything other than take out enemies that show up. It's a very on-rails section of the game and I didn't like it. Honestly, I think it's a good time to talk about the missions in this game, honestly. I think most of them are pretty good. For most of the game, you play as a US Marine named Sergeant Blackburn, and a few missions you play as a former Russian GRU named Dima. And honestly, every mission that you play as them, you are on foot, and I love it. Honestly, there's just something with me because even with Call of Duty, I love missions where you are on foot, you don't, and like you're not in a vehicle. I personally just don't like vehicle missions. There is a mission where you have to be in a tank, but just like when you were in a jet, it's just boring and another on rails mission. Now, I really like the story of this game, but I think this is probably one of the best. And I think this is one of the best stories in FPS games. The game starts with your character running away from the police and then jumping on a train before we get to play the first mission. And honestly, it's a little confusing. It's a very confusing way to start, but does work the more you play through the game. So after you finish the prologue, you find out that you play as Sergeant Blackburn and he's being interviewed by not Jocko and not Alec Baldwin. Blackburn claims that a man named Sullivan is going to attack New York City with a nuke on that day, and the agents are trying to find out if it's true. Throughout the rest of the game, every mission is basically being retold from Blackburn's or the agents, and I always got a Black Ops 1 feeling because of this, and it works just like that game, just with less shocking this time. Honestly, I want to talk about the first two missions in this game because I feel like they both just work perfectly as a start to this game. So first you are assigned to save some Marines who are trapped. I love the build up with the start of this mission. You start with you and your squad just moving and there are no enemies at all. You have to hide from a passing car, but that's it honestly. It's all very quiet. One of your teammates even says it's too quiet. And then all hell breaks loose with a sniper taking out a soldier in your squad and then begins the firefight we all know and love with these type of games. Just the build up to this moment is just so great and I love it, but the mission gets even better at the end. So after tracing a wire and disarming a bomb and surviving an ambush, you have to hold your ground when all of a sudden
Earthquake! Come on, let's fucking go!
yes, an earthquake happens and causes you and your squad to become injured. Now, there have been mentions before where it ends with something bad happening, but honestly, most of the time it was because of the main villain or something man-made that activated by a human. One of my favorite missions from Call of Duty Modern Warfare ends with a nuke going off and killing everyone, but we never really had the Earth itself turning on us in a game. However, this isn't just the end of it because I feel like the second mission also makes the beginning really great. You wake up in the middle of the night after the earthquake and you have to go all the way back, like where the last, you gotta go all the way back to where the last mission started. And at first, this mission starts as a stealth mission before going to a normal shootout, but going back through all the locations you went through the first time, but now with everything destroyed, it's just great. You come across your buddy Montez and then get picked up and get out of there. These two opening missions are just so great, and honestly, really every mission in this game Other than the tanking and when you're on a jet, I like every mission in this game. Now later in the game, while you're looking for Al-Bashir, you find a case with a nuke in it, but there's room for 3 of them, but only 1 nuke is inside. You then play in a tank and save Blackburn and help get the nuke out, but this causes the character you're playing to be killed.
Days when they lose one, you know why? Because these small objects remind them they're loved. But loss is part of growing up, isn't it? Part of growing up is accepting the inevitability of death, the inevitability, Mr. Miller, of death. My father told me that. You would be a hero to your children too. I hope that gives you comfort. Brother.
Amadei, Ejam. Shame. You come to our country to murder us, yet we are the terrorists when we try to protect our nation and our people. This is the price you pay.
I did skip over a mission before the tank mission where you play as Dima in Paris, but that wasn't because I didn't like this mission, the opposite in fact. This is actually probably one of my favorite missions in this game, but this game puts it at such a weird spot. The mission before ends with you finding a nuke, and you see 2 of them are missing, and then you play as Dima in Paris only to immediately go back to, oh yeah, we just found a nuke and we need backup to get it out of here. I understand if the point was showing that 2 nukes are missing and then showing immediately what would happen if nukes go off, but the problem is this mission happens not only after this big reveal, which always seemed a little off, but this mission takes place after Blackburn and Dima met and talked near the end of the game, and the characters at the beginning even talk about if the American will succeed. But at this point, we the player haven't even seen this character, and honestly it just feels off to me to play this mission, and then go back to where we ended off. Honestly would have preferred this mission happening after, just because I feel like it would have worked better than how it is, while still good always felt off. The characters you play as during the tank mission is killed, and then you go through the entire area again in next mission, Night Shift, which is a stealth mission that every FPS game has, and it isn't that bad of a level. The mission ends with Al-Bashir's death, and the next mission honestly brings up one of my biggest issues with the story of this game: Blackburn killing Cole. Now, the game tries to make Cole seem like someone that we the player shouldn't trust or even like. However, I never got that from him, honestly. I always thought Cole was just an asshole and someone who didn't care too much about the men he was leading, which, don't get me wrong, is a terrible thing for anyone in a leadership position to have. But other than that, I never really had an issue with Cole. The game tries to make it seem like Cole got 2 of your buddies killed, so that's reason enough for Blackburn to shoot him, but honestly, I just don't see it. Throughout the mission, yes, all your allies are against carrying out and fighting the Russians and arguing with Cole, who isn't listening, and yes, Cole should have listened to his squad and his troops. However, they were after a very high value target who would have knowledge where the other two nukes were, and Cole was probably told by his commanders and his higher-ups, possibly felt himself, that they needed to find Kafarov as fast as possible. I don't know if they were trying to make Cole be a character that we hated and wanted dead, because I never felt that way and never understood the reasoning behind Blackburn shooting him. You could argue that if you don't shoot Cole, then the game will kill you, saying that Cole would have killed Blackburn because he does fire on you. I have always seen that as just the game punishing you for not doing what it wants. I know some people will say this is just a problem with linear games, but honestly, I don't believe that. So I think DICE just messed up with this part of the story. So afterwards, you race after Solomon, literally repeating the entire beginning of the game. You eventually catch up to him, take him out, and you find a nuke, and you save New York. And that is Battlefield 3, and honestly, this game is just fantastic. As someone who not only loves first-person shooter games, but also military shooters, this game is just so much fun and so great. Also, as someone who is a huge Call of Duty fan, and where Call of Duty is my second favorite franchise, I think Battlefield fans should be happy that I love this game so much, and I consider it one of the most immersive shooters ever. Honestly, replaying this game actually makes me want to go try the other Battlefield games and give this franchise more love than I have previously given it. Because this game really was a lot of fun. I had a blast playing it, and it easily is the best Battlefield game ever made.